Hello and welcome to Torpid casts featuring Senpai Torpid Dow playing as the Lord General and VagrantTable playing as the Warlock here. We're on Outer Reaches, not a map that we get to see too often, but I really do love this map. Just because it changes up the way that the game gets played. It's really frustrating. They actually removed it from the Elite League map pool, which really frustrated me. Basically because players hate dealing with retreat shenanigans. If you're around here as the Eldar, and you push a bit too far forward, you might retreat down this way and get wiped by things over here. And likewise, if I've got Flamer Guardsmen bashing the gens here, what might happen is I hit X and I run this way, and now all the Guardians are going to grenade me. Anyway, I'm trying out the IG in this game. I've been doing a lot of IG, and you'll actually see some Torpid Talks coming up, which is a Torpid Talks Tactics, which is a new thing where I'm going to do, instead of the noob replays on a lot of the Saturdays, where I just talk about my own gameplay and why I'm doing what I'm doing in a more analytical manner. But I'm not going to do it for this one. This is a real cast, boys. It's a real cast. So we've got the new buffs in the new patch, with Guardsmen doing quite a bit more DPS with their lasguns. You can see this Guardian feeling the pain. There you go, lasgun's taking that fucker out. And so these guys are actually going to stand and trade with the Guardians, so I do want to get my Sergeant early on them. This squad, when it came across the Guardians, I didn't see them because obviously we can see everything, but in-game I wouldn't have had line of sight. So they caught me out of cover there and I had to retreat before I lost any models. If you don't have the Sergeant, it is quite expensive. 18 requisition per model on the Guardsman is a lot, but at least with the Sergeant you do get that 2-for-1, which makes it quite cost effective given that they've actually got 100 HP per model, which is really quite a lot. And now they're doing decent DPS as well. So yeah, we're trying IG builds with no Sentinel. It definitely opens up the possibilities for your opponent as well. Lord General here going into melee with the Guardians, going to tie them up. And Vagrant opting for quadruple Guardians. For whatever reason, that's something he wanted to do. I think we were 3 games deep here, so he is experimenting himself and he knows what I'm going for. Certainly if there's no Sentinel, Banshees are a lot more effective than normal, which is one thing to consider. So the other thing to consider is if you're an IG and you're going no Sentinel, how are you going to deal with melee? Well, to be honest, it's a bit of a problem if you're the Lord General. If you're the Lord Commissar, you can pick up that power sword and you get a lot of anti-melee just from having that with the Battlecry ability. Inquisitor, both of her options are good. The Holy Brazier will allow her to beat melee up close and personal. And of course, if you go the crossbow bolt pistol, you can mobilise the melee squads in place using the snare ability of it. But the Lord General doesn't really have anything, which really makes him quite weak with any sort of no Sentinel play, unfortunately. I really think the Lord General is just a trash hero. The bleeding, the fact that he just loses to default squads quite commonly. And all the buffs that he can do, they're cool, but honestly, the extra damage that the Lord Commissar can give with Execute and his Battlecry is most of the time better than the Lord General buffs anyway. But enough whining about the Lord General. Let's watch the gameplay. I did go for a las turret. Basically, I forgot that he was the Warlock. So he's just going to pick up the Immolator and be able to one-shot this. I think he was playing Farseer the game before, and I just totally brain-farted. So that was a waste of 150 requisition right there, because it's not like the Immolator's a bad weapon against triple Guardsmen, let's face it. I mean, you're getting damage over time when you're melee and your range, and you're getting that really powerful AoE ranged attack, so not great. I've got a Sergeant here on the Lord General, 4th member, giving out that medical kit, which healed a lot of the damage there on the Guardsman, but I've just retreated straight through a retreat grenade. Only one of them lands, but Guardians do a lot of DPS. Can they focus fire? They do focus fire the Guardsman squad down a retreat. That is the end of that Guardsman squad, so I am now down to 3 units, and Vagrant's like, I like that, that worked. I'm going to get a 5th Guardian. Sure. But the plus side for me is that I do have a lot of the map. Now, I forced off most of his units here, so I figure let's go for a Flamer.
Generator coming up.
And push for the gens. I guess this is a bit of a Torpid Talks. It's very hard to cast my own game and not talk about what I was thinking. The problem is that I know what's coming up. That's the problem. That's why I don't really like casting my own games. So actually I'm going to do this as a bit of an analytic thing, because I can't really help it. But yeah, Vagrant obviously is aware of what's going on here. He's actually put Distort Field on his Warlock for a bit more tankiness. And I put the Lord General down here in cover to sort of zone out for the Guardsmen. but he's focus firing them. I mean, this is crazy. 5 Guardians in play right now. Look at these Guardsmen melt. So I'm actually going to use the Flamers as a weapon here. I figure I can force these 2 off, send the Catachans into melee over here. Maybe they can delay the rest of them. Maybe. But not really. They're kind of taking too long. Oh, but the medical kit actually went in there, which was very effective. And maybe we will get a bit of a bash, actually. I don't know how many gens I bash here. Yeah, you can see the DPS from the Guardians is pretty real. But Catachans can type one of them, Lord General can go type the other. Ah, the Warlock comes rushing out, that's the problem. Comes rushing out the base again. But look at the Flamers, man. Really good damage from the Flamers. I've really been enjoying using Flamers as weapons recently. You know, not just as a tool to gem bash or destroy turrets or anti-garrison, but actually just for the AoE splash damage that they do. They're very good. The Plasma Grenade nearly wiping the Catachans there, but not before they do kill the Warlock, which is pretty brutal because he's gone for quintuple Guardians. So he has not got a lot of wreck. And I actually replaced one of my Guardsmen. Gonna get a Sergeant on them. I mean, I need ranged line infantry to outshoot these Guardians, right? So the best option really is to go for Guardsmen. I could have gone for a heavy weapons team, but against all the grenades, it's pretty scary. And he is a Warlock with Immolator as well, which is a good counter to the heavy weapons team. So I figure just getting more Guardsmen is a good idea. The Guardsmen will trade pretty effectively into the Guardians, at least in Tier 1. In Tier 2, when they get their Warlock, that gives them the passive damage resistance against ranged. It's not going to be a very good trade for me. But yeah, spamming all these basic range units, honestly, it feels like we're playing Iron Harvest or something. It feels like a different RTS, which is fun. It's nice to have a bit of variety, you know? Well, it is for me anyway. I find the game very predictable otherwise. And yes, you can see I'm amused in game. Guardsmen versus Guardians everywhere. It is mental. I'm really loving the lasgun buff though. It's very cool. Guardsmen feel strong. Feel useful. Obviously Ogryns are super heavy infantry, so all these Guardians aren't going to do any damage with their shuriken catapults against them. That said, the plasma grenades are pretty effective against Ogryns, and he's got 5 of them. Or 4 of them, who doesn't have battle equipment on one of his Guardians. Bit of a failure to dodge there. Some good old domino knockback. But the great thing with their flamers is it flushes the Guardians out of cover. Yeah, which then opens up the lasguns to do some real damage. Well, it doesn't deal with energy shields though, so they're a bit of a problem. I'm just going to send the Catachans into melee to deal with that. I know these guys are still lurking. But there's a grenade, and I'm going to eat that to the face. Bang. Too busy looking down here, I guess. Brilliant. Look at the medic kits, though. Medic kits still very strong on the Catachans. I don't understand why the IED was detected there and blown up. I don't know what's going on with IEDs, but I find them so hard to use now. They've been severely nerfed. It's very sad. And we've just got Guardians running around everywhere. I mean, the Warlock's just tanking behind an energy shield, or trying his best to do so. Though I've got a lot of units here right now. But I am losing the back of the map. Guardian down here, Guardian over there. Guardian everywhere. Feels like a poem or something. I'm VagrantTable. I've got a Guardian here and a Guardian there. Guardians every single where. An Autarch coming soon, because I want to stack DR buffs to the moon. So don't forget the Autarch passively increases the damage resistance of all nearby Eldar, because she's got a Scorpion shield. You know, aspect of the striking Scorpion and all that stuff. So obviously a very good choice right now. It can jump on any of my individual squads, and all my damage is ranged. So you're literally giving all your units essentially more HP. Just having the Autarch nearby. So Vagrant just running these 2 Guardians around on their own. Hilarious that he's running them with 2 models yet still decides to buy battle equipment. I'm not sure if that's worth it, but sure. I mean, he might upgrade them now. So obviously he did get tier 2. I got tier 2 as well, and my purchase is going to be Ogryns. So I got a bit of a bash off, but I don't think I ever destroyed the full farm. So we're actually pretty even in tech, all things considered. Remember, of course, I've replaced one of my guardsmen, which probably did delay my gens quite a bit. But look at the damage here, man. Triple guardians. Just melting those generators. Holy shit. They don't even have their warlock yet. Crazy. And that's why we need the Ogrins to eat up those shuriken catapults and not get melted. So that's the plan. They'll also, of course, be able to tango relatively effectively against the Autarch in melee. They will beat her 1v1 for sure. But the problem is she might bleed a model, which is a bit awkward. Ogre models are very expensive to reinforce. Not really a great idea leading with the Kadishan Devils here, but it's awkward because they run forward because their guns are shorter range than the other units. It'd be nice if we could see whether they had a medic kit or not, but we can't in the replay system. Oh, they did. They don't anymore. And there goes a warp throw into a couple of grenades. Kinda surprised it didn't kill this Ogrin. If 2 plasma grenades land flush, you can outright kill an Ogrin squad. Like, straight up. But they have to land bang on all the models. And there you go, you see the Autarch jumping in there and slaying an Ogrin before jumping out. And Ogrin's using their melee charge to try and keep pace. I don't know what that div's doing at the top, taking the wide berth around the energy shield. That was pretty stupid.
We have the requisition point, sir.
And once again, I'm trying to blob up all my units and go for a big push at the top here, but I'm not sure how successful it's going to be. I suppose you can't really kill the Ogrins. That's the big problem for Vagrant right now. Yeah, he's got grenades. This 65 DPS spear will be reasonable. But as I say, they can't 1v1 him.
Requisition points in trouble. Enemy generator destroyed.
And we do actually finish the gens off with the Flamer Guardsmen. Have they all got sergeants? Yeah, we've got 3 sergeants and we've actually got a commissar as well in this squad of guardsmen. And I went for the sniper rifle to increase the range of all of them. Yeah, Vagrant kind of messing up here. Trying to get his guardians into the energy shield, but he sort of ran around this way instead of running this way. So they got shot up pretty bad before they could actually get into cover. But he's opted for a Falcon, which is actually something that I found very, very, very problematic right now. I don't know what the hell just happened there. And a bit of micro from my behalf. I'm too busy looking down there at the Falcon. I haven't realised that my Kadishans are in melee with a Autarch. And they're having a pretty bad day. And they're now going into retreat path of double Guardians. That is going to be a wipe for my Kadishan Devils. And I still can't deal with the Falcon. So normally, IG have the really good transitional AV with the Sentinel missile launcher. Which is very good at dealing with transports that don't have a lot of HP and that the Sentinel can keep up pace with. But obviously with the Guardsman only build, you don't have that. You can't get any AV on your Guardsman squads, unfortunately. So it really does present a bit of a problem. Now the sniper rifle here is going to help, increasing the range of the las cannon. Could potentially help me get some kills. So I'll cap with the Lord General and I'll get line of sight with the Guardsman, and then I'll be able to buff the range of the heavy weapons team. And he actually drives forward into me, and as soon as I see that, I go bang. Let's have it. And look at the range now on this heavy weapons team, las cannon, man. But with that little bit of repairs that he got in, it was just enough for the Falcon to survive on 1 HP, which is kind of huge. This thing is going to be a bane in my backside. I don't know. That's a bit of a strange statement. I was just thinking about that. Pain in my backside is a normal statement, but it's going to be a bane in my backside. It's like even worse. But you see the retreat path happening again. Sometimes it gets some of my squads killed, sometimes it gets some of his squads killed. And so he retreated those Guardians, and they ended up right in the clutches of my Ogrins in retreat, which was the end of them. So he's down to 4 Guardians. Oh dear, what's he going to do? It's part of the problem with killing the Falcon is that he has so many Guardians to repair it. It's a bit of a nightmare. So I'm going to move my last cannon up. See where we're at.
We could use that requisition point. So the generator is online.
That was a direct last cannon hit on that Guardian. Wow, how unlucky. But there you go, he recalled his Autarch to use the bomb once again, and a nice warp throw into the bomb. Doesn't actually do a lot of damage, but it does a lot of stun, which is frustrating. Though the Falcon is going to have to get out of there because I've just got my Ogrins charging at the moment. I don't really have a very good angle to shoot it from. And I noticed the Warlock has just charged the las cannon anyway, so I'm not going to be able to fire for long even if I did have an appropriate angle. But of course, a Falcon, like any transport, is too quick, so I need to get out of there. And I do lose an Ogre in there. I lose the Bonehead as well. So some pretty expensive losses. Vagrant has actually purchased Banshees as well. We're now running along the back line. And without Assault Kit Stormtroopers or Cadishans, Banshees can be quite difficult to deal with. You notice though the lasguns, they really do some DPS now. They do. They do the deeps. They do the deeps. Do the deeps. Do the deeps. Deeps. Do the deeps. Do the deeps. It's nice. I really like Guardsmen being viable as combat units without having to rely on plasma dogs. But I like this play. It's using the Webway Gate very aggressively here to get the Warlock heal off of it. Try and keep the Banshees in play a bit longer. Note again the flamer damage from the Guardsman. It's very legit. Very legit as a weapon. Because Banshees, unlike a lot of the tier 1 melee squads, they don't actually get fire resist. Like Hormagaunts, Heretics and Sluggers. So flamers are pretty damn good. There you go, warp throw into a nade. Big damage onto the Ogrins there, and they just gotta retreat. So yeah, you can't kill them with shuriken catapults, but there's plenty of tools you can use against them. As the Eldar. And I think I might have got one shot off against the Falcon there before he reacted and moved away. But yeah, he's fielding a lot of light infantry right now, and I just need to burst that down, so some Assault Kit Stormtroopers would be a logical choice, and that's what I'm going to get. I mean, Eldar, they do get heavy infantry in tier 2. They have Fire Dragons and they have Wraithguard, but it's not what he's going for right now, and he can't really afford the requisition with quadruple Guardians, and then deciding to get Banshees in tier 2, so yeah. Unfortunately, the Autarch and the Warlock there absolutely ripping apart my revenue, and I even mess up the Use Your Head there on the Ogrins. I was hoping to catch the Autarch, but she leaped over the cover, so I didn't even get the knockback that I wanted on her. Which is very annoying. She's even got that force field on her now as well. I mean, she's putting in the work in melee, man. She does do significant DPS, but she needs to be very careful there, though. She gets caught by a special attack from the Ogrins, and she's going to wipe. Yep, dead. She got the shield as well. I think as soon as those Guardians retreated, she should have been gone. She was too low HP. All it takes is one lucky special. Not to mention the Assault Kit Stormtroopers are wading in with fire as well, so... Pretty rough situation, but we've got more Webway Gates coming up near my farm. Banshees actually managed to decap that farm, and now they're going to attack that very squishy Lord General who is once again bleeding models. But this is a bad fight. Yeah, he sees the Ogrins and he realizes he needs to run. I've also rotated my heavy weapons team, which has caught the Falcon, which needs to back away. But it does. Very good micro with the Falcon, I have to say. These Guardians do have their Warlock, and you can see the difference. They are very tanky, even though they're getting shot by Assault Kit Stormtroopers and a Commissar Guardsman squad. It's a lot of piercing DPS, but they just do not care. Trying to tank again with the Warlock HP regen from the gate. And I just sent the Guardsman forward to scout at the gate. I don't want the Stormtroopers to go nearby, because you never know what Banshees could pop out. And that's exactly what happens. In fact, double Banshees is what happens to pop out. Which is not a very good time for the Guardsman, but I really just want to kill that Webway Gate to stop any reinforcements, and I do get rid of it. Flamethrower Guardsmen are coming in now. They'll do some good damage before the Banshees can get into melee. And I'm actually going to flank with my Ogrins as well. Watch these default Banshees melt. Absolutely melted. Can't disrespect the Flamers, honestly. They're very, very strong. Do these guys wipe here? No. No, Stormtroopers are missing too much on the move. They come bloody close though, 21 HP. Stormtroopers really need to be getting out of there. They're going to take some big damage from the Falcon, but of course I'm actually trying to bait them in, because I do have the last cannon still in play. But again, as soon as that first hit goes off, Vagrant reacts. Can't even get a second hit. Got a Warlock running around. Now has the Witchblade of Kernus and the Cloak of Shadows. Is using that right now for the range damage resistance. You can see how tanky it makes him. It's a real pain. Very hard for IG to deal with. And I'm blobbing up like crazy for a beautiful Witchblade of Kernus right there. Doesn't actually do that much to the Ogrins. I'm not sure that it actually hit like all the procs there, but he retreats. He's requiring me to go back and heal. I mean, these guys are basically on full models but half HP. And to that end, actually, the Stabilizer's War Gear would be very useful. I keep losing the Sergeant. Of course, I did have it. I'm just trying my best to tank there as we get the cap, and we do eventually get it, although we lost literally all 10 guardsmen in the squad in order to achieve that. I don't remember if I get Stabilizers. I have noticed with the guardsman spam, it's a pretty effective, it's a pretty effective gear. And once again, Distort Field on the Banshees, trying to stop them from getting into my heavy weapons team here, which I felt like could have died on retreat otherwise, so that's why I called in the Creeping Basilisk Barrage to do the knockback on the Banshees, but they turned away instead. I'm not sure if I have any support coming for the Ogrins from the Lord General, but we have a lot of firing support. Yeah, and the Banshees bail. Probably could have done with having the Falcon nearby there. I still don't have any real AV. And the Falcon comes by and drops off another squad of Banshees, which is pretty bad. Ogrins really need to get out of here, suppressed by the Psychic Scream of the Banshees right there. But things are just dying all over the place, man. And these Banshees quite literally getting melted right now as they run into melee with the Guardsmen. Assault Kit Stormtroopers on the back lines trying to focus them down, but they themselves are getting wrecked by the Falcon. Now there's the last cannon. Getting those juicy rear armor hits on the Falcon. One more hit would take it out, but it manages to sneak out of range. I actually had my range buff ability on the sniper on cooldown at that point, which is such a shame. It would have been a dead Falcon. Like, this thing living on 1 HP earlier has been a nightmare. Look at that retreat path, perfectly set up. Gibbs my retreating Assault Kit Stormtroopers who were forced off by the Banshees, and kills a model on my heavy weapons team. But he does pay for it with his life, to be fair. But definitely worth it to kill some Assault Kit Stormtroopers and a heavy weapons team model just for the Warlock going down, 250 red. Now, I've actually gone tier 3 at this point. I do have the red for a rocket run as well. Easily, I've got 700 red for Christ's sake. Holy shit. I didn't realise I had that much. Last cannon is still in place, so the Falcon does need to be wary. But units are too busy capping all over the map at this point. So they're not able to fully repair the Falcon. Vagrant currently in tier 2. Not super far off though from tier 3. Just going to set this thing up in the middle. It's quite an awkward map to use setup teams against transports. A lot of shot blockers. The transport itself is a bit meh in terms of its own gun because of the shot blockers, but when you're using the transport to reinforce relatively cheap squads like the Guardian models and just outtrade your opponent, it's very good. We've got a flank from 2 Banshees right now approaching. As soon as they get rid of the last cannon, the Falcon's kind of just free to do whatever it wants. But the Banshees do get wrecked there because they're fighting the Ogrins on their own with a load of fire support coming in. I'm using the stabilizers right now as well, so you'll notice they should be getting some nice HP regen, but I don't know how long that's going to last for. And obviously Banshees can easily out DPS it, forcing off one of the Guardsman squads there. They also cause the last cannon to de-set up. And I think I've already used my, what is this ability called? Fire on my target, and there is another beautiful ethereal slash. And then a special attack from the Warlock, just dancing through my army right now, but he needs to be careful. He tries to just back out the fight without retreating. Oh, he gets lucky and it does work. Last cannon just got another gib on a Guardian. Level 4 Guardsman. And now I even have Kassakin, but you know what the problem is, guys? The VPs are at 15 right now. And ticking down fast, so I need to get on the VPs ASAP, but he's still in play with this stupid Falcon. It's very frustrating, and I can't really hit it. So is this a rocket run? I can't remember. Yeah, it was a rocket run. Wow, but the grenade causes my Lord General to get knocked over and stop the cap. Try and put the Guardsman on it to replace it, but it's too slow. And I won't mind, I even had Kaskin coming over who could have thrown a crack grenade to take out the Falcon, which had actually got out of the range of the las cannon. These Banshees running around with practically no HP there. Just banking on stopping me from getting the decap. Kind of a weird all-in at the end there from Vagrant. And I actually moved my character away to dodge the grenade, which was a massive mistake. I should have just thrown the Guardsman on the cap. I don't know, I don't think I realised that the VPs were quite so low. But there you go, that is going to be the end of it. Just run out of VPs in the end. Couldn't deal with the Eldar webway gates, really. But I thought this was a pretty chaotic game. Kaskin coming out a little too late. I just love the weirdness of the builds that you get when you're facing Guardsman spam. It definitely opens up the builds. Though the one big weakness that I have noticed is dealing with transports when you don't have a Sentinel is a bit of a nightmare. Or even just with Chaos, with the ranged Chaos Dreadnought Walkers without a Sentinel, I'm not entirely sure how you're going to deal with that. So something to look out for. But yeah, next, will it be this Saturday? It might be this Saturday, or it might be the Saturday after. Probably the Saturday after, actually. I'll do some Torpid talks. Oh god, it might even be the Saturday after that. Now that I think about it, with IG. I've got one coming up with the War Boss first, and then we'll have some with IG after that. And it's going to showcase a lot of gameplay with Triple Guardsmen. So I hope you will be looking forward to that. I hope you like the idea of Triple Guardsmen. I think IG's a lot more fun when there isn't Sentinel being abused constantly. So hopefully it should be good fun. That is all from your boy Torpid this time. I am going to be signing out.